Final home game of the season, what are you looking for from Saturday's match?
Good performance and a win. I think we all are looking for that. Playing against a side who we don't want to go above us. We've worked hard over a number of weeks now to try and improve our, not just performances, but our standing in the league. So we've had some really solid performances and some really quite exciting games too. So it would be nice to finish the season in front of our own fans with a positive result for our fans to go away with some optimism for next year.
You've talked about the progress over the last couple of weeks in games. Is there anything in particular within those performances? Is it the defence? Is it, you know?
Well, look, we've got a front three that's as good as anything in the league, and they've delivered more goals than we thought that they would. I thought in midfield we've looked a lot more, a lot more settled with both Joe and Jamo in there. You know, they're good players. They're really good players. But I think the area that we've obviously improved quite a bit recently is at the back. You know, and the three lads who are playing at centre back, the wing backs have been great. Got no problem with that. But the three centre backs have shown, a way of playing together, which is, I think, given a better foundation for the team. But look, as I've said all season, and I'm not going to change what I say now, that we have to be able to defend well as a team and attack well as a team. And I think that's the, you know, people could argue, there's no pressure on now, but it doesn't matter. I still think that the players have sort of really bought into what we're trying to do. And we've got to build on that now. So it's important we finish the season as well as we can. Performances, I want them to be right. Don't want anybody switching off or thinking the job's done, because we're already preparing.
Strange old game. Who'd have thought at the start of the season that you'd have Robbie Cundy, Rob Atkinson and Tim Closer in a back three there. It's testament, particularly to Rob and Robbie, that they've actually come through a difficult time for Rob, and perhaps a tough time for Robbie as well with his injury.
Yeah, we've had our struggles at the back this year. We've picked up injuries which are very unfortunate. Obviously, Thomas Callis is not available at the end of the season, but he's making really good progress. So he'll be fine. Nathan Baker's had a very frustrating season. And then on top of that, we've found in Rob Atkinson a player who, I suppose when we reflect on the whole of the season, he knows he's had a bit of a mixed bag, but I actually think
he's come out the other side.
And as we're coming to the end of this season, he's made some real progress. So he started the season very well, and he's looking more assured now. And that's a really good story. And I think we always have to remember the perspective of where he's been in his career and the pathway that he's both chosen and also has been presented to him. So that's an important factor. With Robbie Cundy, he's had a rough old ride. Since he's signed here, he's been out on loan, which has been good for him. He's got plenty of appearances. But on top of that, he's really had to deal with quite a severe injury, which he's coming to the side now. And although he's still making that, I think, adjustment to playing Championship football, because I don't underestimate how difficult it is when you've not played there before. He's a part of a unit now which looks more self-assured, and I'm really pleased for him.
I know you think carefully about when you put players into the team. You brought Duncan on last Saturday. Is that with an eye on next season for him, or nah?
It's an eye on. Well, I'm a big believer in giving opportunities when it's appropriate. I think Dunk, he even handled the media after,
Well.
he did very well, and he dealt with a little faux pas, which, it shows you how, and the intensity of how he talked, and you could see the excitement and what it meant to him. So, they're factors that, again, I don't dismiss as being irrelevant. They're very big factors in terms of whether players are going to have the ability to perform on a psychological level too. So he's been, he's come through pretty quickly in terms of my awareness of him. But when he's trained with us over the last month or so, 2 months, from being almost quite shy when he came in, he's very excited to make his debut, and I wasn't worried about him, and I don't know whether I can pay a bigger compliment. I didn't feel that at a key point in the game it was a risk to put him on, because he's a good natural defender.
Someone who's really come good in the last few months, and you had no doubts, Jay De Silva. We didn't see him last Saturday. How is he? Could he be available?
Yeah, he'll be available for the weekend, and I'm really, again, it's a great story, because before, I think, November, when we had a conversation, Jay's time here looked not to be particularly secure. What I will say about him, and I've never had any doubt that he's a really good footballer, but he's doing what the team needs now. He's doing the legwork. He's a really intelligent footballer, and I'm just delighted he's going to be here next year. So, again, things can change in football, and there's no point, whatever decisions are made in a short term, in a period of time where it feels appropriate, that doesn't mean that things can't change. It's really up to players' ability to fight for themselves as much as anything, and that's, I've been alluding to that for a long time. It's really important that we have here a group of people who work here who have a drive to improve not just themselves but the collective. That's the biggest thing for us.
And two players are very evident with that, Andy Vyman and Chris Martin. And
Yeah.
Antoine. 37 goals between them, 24 assists between us front three players.
Yeah.
What's pleased you most about the way they've worked together?
Well, we've needed them to score. But look, when the team's been either win, lose, draw, play well, play poorly, or be bang average in the middle, we've had a strike force, and bearing in mind we've got Naki Wells, and we've also got Tommy and Belly behind that too. We've got players who look like scoring. I remember last season, my early time here, there was a ironic and there were at times quite sarcastic celebrations of us winning a corner or having a shot in a game. So, we've had a bit of a trade-off in terms of being a bit more losing now solidity at times, but we've got a strike force that I think is as good as anything in the league.
Hull City, 2-2 last time out, and I think they've probably improved defensively.
Yeah, they have. They've only, I think, since the new guy's been there, they've conceded 7 in 7, something like that.
But going forward as well, Honeyman.
Yeah, look,
Potter as well.
Potter and the guy that the owner brought in, who's apparently a really hard-working guy. I'm not going to pronounce his name. Look, I think they've had a decent season. When you get promoted to the Championship and you're able to have an identity which suits you, which they've done. I mean, they've all right. They've had a change of manager, and I think Grant was unfortunate to lose his job. because he'd done a good job there, but it happens. That's what happens in football. They continue to be, from having a couple of really difficult runs, they're capable of having positive runs, and we want to make sure that they can't catch us. So it's a good one for us to win, but they'll be thinking exactly the same thing.
You started our conversation talking about wanting to end the season on a high in front of our own supporters.
Yeah.
In terms of that fan base, I think we've averaged 18,000 this season per game. There was always that uncertainty after COVID about how people would react, when people would come back. But that level of support must give yourself, the players, a lot of encouragement.
No, it does, and we've had, for the most part, very positive atmospheres. And as I always say, we have to give our fan base something to believe in. And in football, that becomes increasingly more difficult because, with televised games and the size of the Premier League, it's very easy to turn your mind to the best football that you can watch. But what we want to try and give our own supporters is honest performances that they can see that we're at our full tilt, whatever that means quality-wise. But I actually think we've got some really good players, and that means that our league position, we'd like it to be better. But I know that we've made some real progress, and so it's never a time just to go, okay, that's we can relax down the summer. It's not about that. It's about trying to continue with progression which delivers better results on the pitch. So we've had our problems, and we've had our frustrations this season in terms of finding levels of performance which we're happy with often enough. But I also know that we've got a lot of individuals at different stages of the career who they're making progress, and that for me, I'm not copping out. I'm not trying to make excuses. I have to look at that as being a way to measure success as well. Ultimately, success is always externally, I think, for the most part, measured by results, and it should be, because it is a results business. But we'll only make real progress if we invest time and energy to improve the players that we have, because without getting into what's going to happen with the transfer market type of question and debate, we will, as a football club, continue to try and make decisions on improving the squad which are sustainable and have a bit of longevity. So I'm not, the short term's always important because you've got to live in the moment, but actually there's got to be an element of how we negotiate the medium term too, because we know we've got to be sensible with that. And I think that's something that that's why it's important that we communicate with our fans, so that they, whether they agree with it, but they understand that there's an authentic feel to what we're doing. I'll never try and pull the wool over anybody's eyes. But likewise, I think there needs to be an element of belief in what we're trying to do. So I'm not into any blame game or anything like that. It's just about, this is where we are, and how do we get to where we want to be? Well, there's always lots of steps in between the two places.